I think the number one tip I can give a music producer or beat maker is to keep it simple. And that's a general statement, so basic, but I'll show you what I mean in great detail here, especially with this beat that I'm working on right now. We'll give this beat a listen first, and then we'll dive into the computer, and I'll really dive into what I mean when I say keep it simple. Let's give this a listen first. Two things that you got to do, and again, this is coming from a mediocre music producer, so you don't even have to listen to anything that I'm saying, but this is what I mean when I say keep it simple. Number one, you need to evoke some emotion in the music that you're creating, and number two, is what you're creating telling a story? If so, what story is that telling? Those are two very important questions you have to ask yourself when you're making your beat. If you answer those questions, if those are, you can check those and answer both those questions, that's pretty much half the battle. We're gonna dive into the computer. I'm gonna show you what I mean by keeping it super simple. By the way, if you like what you hear, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's dive into the computer. Let's go. All right, I'm gonna send this back to the beginning right here. So I got a string sample, and here's usually I at the very least I'm going to pitch it up and down. I'm not going to use the original sample. Didn't do that only because I really liked the way it sounded and the key it was in. I think it's in B minor, but I mean, I made some changes, but this is me keeping the sample chopping portion simple. And this thing is simple from start to finish. I have 7 tracks on this beat, 7 only. So this is, I'm gonna solo out my sample, and you can see here, I messed with the speed, okay? I'm not going into great detail into my chopping. I just hit the slice button right up here on Mimic, and I shift the sensitivity knob in hopes that Reason finds some chops for me. I can go into great detail in chopping whenever I hear something, but sometimes I'm just gonna let the DAW do its thing, and it did its thing. And this is what I came up with. Now what I changed was the speed knob, so I slowed the sample down, and I automate the pitch. It goes up and down, it goes down an octave, and it goes back to its original sample. So I'm gonna play this soloed out. Take a listen. Not a difficult thing, fairly simple. If you're like a super beginner, maybe automating that one over your head. But if you're slightly above a beginner, automating does not go over your head. That's one track. That did the two things that, at least to my ears, what I was answered my 2 questions, which was emotion, does it evoke emotion? And does it tell a story? That's a yes and yes. At least for my ears, maybe not yours, we're all different. But remember, when you're making music, maybe you're making it for somebody else, I'm just making this for me because I thoroughly enjoy doing this. It's time for the drums. Drums, again, super simple. And I don't know about you, but for me, the hi-hat definitely is what sets the groove. And I'm gonna play the whole thing. I'm not gonna just play the hi-hats. I'll play with everything I have here. But it's still super simple. I've layered the snare on the 4th bar. The only thing I just love the hi-hats on here because they really set the groove. So I'm gonna play the drum pattern by itself and then I'll bring the sample in right after. So here's the drum pattern. super, super simple. That's pretty much the entire beat. The only thing you haven't heard so far is the bass line. And I did layer, I didn't really layer the sample, but I add a little piano element to it. I might circle back and search for some things to maybe layer or different sounds to add to it, but this sounds super classy. It's simple, but it's very, very classy. Almost has like this Maybach music-ish kind of sound to it. I've got vocals that I got from Slice that you're gonna hear. So you'll hear the piano, you'll hear the bass line. I'm gonna mute the vocals. They're right here, they're already muted. I'm gonna mute the vocals on the first half, and then I'll unmute it so you can hear what I mean. Also, don't underestimate arrangement when it comes to your beats. Subtract and add. Even though I'm using only 7 tracks here, hi-hat disappears for 4 bars or 8 bars, and then it comes back in. Some of my favorite songs are so damn simple, they're either a 4 or an 8 bar loop repeated for 3.5 minutes with a fire-ass hook. And I've been listening to this stuff for 15, 20 years, and I still listening to it on my iPod Nano, which I still have, by the way. Sometimes just keep it simple. Get everything you can out of the sounds that you're creating. Get creative with the effects. Remember, 2 things, all you need: evoke emotion and tell a story. That's half the battle. Once you get that down, everything is easy. You just need to come up with a drum loop and then arrangement. Once you have that laid out, you're good to go. You can start to just experiment and mess with different sounds and layering, but don't rack your brain trying to find the right sound or the right whatever. You might already be done, so don't get in your own way. That's super key too. Get out of your own way. Let's play this with the vocals, with the bass line, with everything. Remember, the vocals will be played on the first half of the beat, but then I'll unmute it. Let's take a listen. That sounded like a legitimate track. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I think I'm good where I'm at. My ears are telling me you're done right here. But I'm still gonna experiment and work on some things on this track. But again, I'm not gonna rack my brains because I really do think I am done with this thing. I hope you got everything you needed from this. Like I said, guys, keep it super simple. Goes a long way. If you guys like what you heard, again, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna play this one more time. Thank you guys again for watching. See you guys later.